Is matter around us pure? We have already seen in the video previously that matter around us is pure and impure. There are two different types. They are pure substance and impure substances. So let's have a small recap about the previous video that we have learnt. So pure substances, we have seen the differences of elements and compounds, and impure substance we have seen about mixtures. Again we have seen that mixtures are of two different types, homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. So in this video we will see more about solutions. So let's start with it. So we drink sweet lemon water in the summers and it gives a cooling effect. So how lemonade is made? So lemon, water, ice, salt or sugar. So all these components we mix together. So now you might be asking a question like, then what was the difference between homogeneous and mixture and a solution? So both are almost the same, but you should understand that there is no components that is undissolved in a homogeneous mixture and a solution. So let's see what happens in a solution. So here in this figure you can see that you are going to make a lemon juice. So you add lemon juice, water, ice, salt or sugar. So you mix it uniformly and this forms a solution. So components can be separated by using but these components can be separated using different techniques. So but before that we should understand what type of solutions are found and how they can be differentiated. So let's see what is a solution. So again it is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. So we need to add two or more components to it, mix it together and we combine it to get a particular one uniform solution or uniform component. It is known as solution. So solutions consist of two different components. So what is it called? One is solute and one is solvent. So for example I had told in the previous video sugar and water. So water which is in liquid form we will say it as solvent. So anything other than water which is in liquid form it is also called as a solvent. For example ethanol, methanol, hexane, etc. So anything that is in liquid form along with water. So water is also included. It is known as solvent. So then what is solute? So we have taken the example of sugar and water. We have told that, now we have come to know that water is a solvent. Then what is solute? The sugar that we are going to add, the component that we are going to add to the solvent is known as solute. So let's understand it. Solute, it is a constituent which is present comparatively less amount and get dissolved in the solvent. So as I told, so we will not be adding in the same ratio of water. As per the same ratio we will not take the sugar and add. We will take 1 or 2 teaspoons of sugar for 100 ml of water and we will add it. So same way they have explained that it is that it gets dissolved in the solvent. Solute gets dissolved in the solvent. So then what is solvent? It is present in more amount and it is able to dissolve the solute that we add. In the same way salt and water. We have taken the example of sugar and water. In the same way even salt and water. Salt we take it in lesser amount and we add it in more amount of water. So water dissolves the salt. Here what is the solute? The solute is the salt. And what is the solvent? Solvent is water. So here with the example we can see that Solution, salt, water. So to water, when we add salt and dissolve it, it is known as solution. What type of solution it is? Is it heterogeneous or homogeneous solution? It forms homogeneous solution. So what is solute and what is solvent here? So water is a solvent here, and salt that we take to add to water is the solute. So let's understand characteristics of solutions. So solution is homogeneous in nature, that is they form uniform composition when added to a solvent. So solute and solvent, so their composition can vary. They can be of different composition. They are very small particles and they do not scatter light. So they do not have the capability of scattering the light, but they can be separated by physical methods. So type of solutions. Let's see different types of solutions. So first is on basis of dissolving nature of liquids. So on the nature of liquids, solutions are formed. So you can take the example of sugar and salt again. When you add it, it vanishes in time, that is it gets dissolved in water. But what about oil in water? Does it dissolve? It doesn't vanish, but it floats on the surface. So you can see that some of the solutes when added to the solvent will dissolve, some will not. So it is due to this reason that some substances can mix with each other and some do not. Hence, on the basis of dissolving nature of liquids, we can say that whether the solution was dissolving or not dissolving, the solute dissolves in solvent or not. So, based on this type, we can see miscible, immiscible and partially miscible solutions. So, miscible means mixing. So, miscible are those solutions they completely mix together. Immiscible are those which do not mix with other solvents. And partially miscible is some amount of it gets dissolved, some amount of it doesn't get dissolved. So miscible liquids, let's start with miscible liquids. Liquids that completely mix with each other to form a solution. As in this figure you can see it forms a solution. So alcohol when added to water gets completely mixed. In the same way we can see that sugar in water, salt in water, that is forming a miscible liquid. You can see here it is immiscible liquid. They form 3 layered of different solution. They have not mixed together. Such liquids are known as immiscible in nature. So partially miscible. So liquids which can dissolve in another liquid up to some extent, like ethylene glycol in chloroform, it can mix to some extent in chloroform, hence it is partially miscible. So immiscible liquid, they form different layers like oil and water. So next we will see on the basis of nature of solvent. So what type of solvent we take, the solution forms or miscibility depends on it. It's not only water which can dissolve substances, but other solvents also can be used for dissolving substances like alcohol, benzene, carbon tetrachloride, etc. So based on the nature of solvent, also the dissolving can differ or substances can differ. So again, they are of 2 types, aqueous and non-aqueous solution. So aqueous solution are those wherein a solution in which solvent is water is an aqueous solution. So you can see salt dissolved in water, salt dissolved in water, that particular salt solution itself is called aqueous solution. Sugar dissolved in water, you can see that once sugar gets dissolved in water, it is not called as sugar and water, it will be called as sugar solution. Next we will see non-aqueous solution, the solution in which solvent is other than water. So here aqueous solution, we almost take water as the solvent, aqueous solution, water is the solvent, and whatever we dissolve, it gets completely dissolved. It's like salt, sugar, etc. And that particular solution is known as aqueous solution. Non-aqueous solution, if we add water, it doesn't dissolve. Other than water, which solvent we take, it is non-aqueous solution. Example is alcohol and benzene. Next classification of soluble substances about solution is classification on the basis of solubility, that is power of the solvent. So we'll take an example. If you take 1 glass of water in a room temperature and then you add sugar to it, it will dissolve. But if you keep on adding the sugar to same solution, it's like take 100 ml of water, then you go on adding by teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of sugar, it dissolves and dissolves and dissolves. But after some time, what happens? It stops dissolving and you can see that sugar gets settled at the bottom. So this is a saturation level, the state where the solute or the sugar is not able to dissolve in the particular amount of water is the solubility or the power of the solvent. And this is also known as saturated solution. The reason being each solvent has a solubility power and it can dissolve the solute up to only some limit. So based on the solubility, you can see that there are 2 types, saturated and unsaturated solution. So saturated solution, as I told that if you take 100 ml of water and start dissolving sugar, there is one time, that is after certain amount of sugar that you have added and stirred, you cannot dissolve more amount of sugar to it. Then what is unsaturated solution? Solution in which quantity of solute can be dissolved without increasing its temperature. At room temperature itself, maximum amount of solute or sugar can be added to that particular solution. So next is solubility. It is the amount of solute that can be dissolved in a given solvent, like to a particular water, like we have taken water, and the amount of sugar that gets dissolved in the water at a particular temperature is known as solubility. So next is factors affecting solubility. What affects solubility? Its nature of the solute, what solute we are going to add, nature of the solvent, what we are going to use, either water or alcohol or anything else. Then dependent on the temperature. Then what else? See, we can see that on lowering temperature, solubility of liquid and solids decreases. You can see on heating, after reaching saturation also, you have certain space in the solvent or the solution and more amount of solute can be added. Next is classification on basis of size of the solute particles. So you can see that size of the solute, like sugar solution, salt solution, sugar is more larger particle than the salt particles or iodized powdered salts. So you must have made a solution of sand in water, sugar in water and milk. They don't look the same, is it? Sand is bigger than the sugar in water. So what are the different types of solute or solutions that you can take? That is true solution, colloid and suspension. So based on the size of solute, they are of 3 types, or nature of solutions are of 3 types. Like we have seen that when you add sand in water, sand is bigger, larger. Sugar in water, it's negligible, you cannot see after some time, and sand almost doesn't dissolve in water. So based on these, we have true solution, colloid and suspension. So here we can see that true solution, colloid and suspension. So let's see. Particle size. True solution is less than 1 nanometer. For colloid it is 1 to 100 nanometer. So true solution is very small size. Colloid is smaller in size. So suspension is more than 100 nanometer. So appearance of true solutions is very clear, and you can see clear solution there. Colloid and suspension are cloudy. Homogeneity, true solution, like example sugar and water, homogeneous. Colloid, homogeneous or heterogeneous. It can be dissolved or it cannot be dissolved. Suspension, it is heterogeneous in nature. Next we come up to the property of transparency. True solution is transparent, often transparent, but often it is colored. It has some color to it, but it is transparent in nature. Then what is about colloid? Colloid is translucent and opaque and can also be transparent in nature. It can give the property of both true solution and suspension to some extent. Suspension is almost opaque and also but translucent in nature. So true solution, you can see that we cannot separate it once it is dissolved. Colloid can be separated. Suspension also separates because it settles down like sand in water. Sand separates, sand settles down and water can be separated. So how can you filter the solution? So true solution cannot be filtered because it passes through a normal filter paper. Colloid also passes through filter paper. But suspension, the particles, you can see that when you use a filter paper and a funnel and pass through, the sand doesn't pass through, only the water passes through. Next we will understand what a Tyndall effect is. So Tyndall effect is scattering of light by particles. So it is scattering of light by particles. There are certain particles in the atmosphere that scatters the light in colloid or particles in fine suspensions. So you might have observed from a thin window, there is small space and sunlight falls to your room. You might have observed that you might have even played to catch the small particles that is flying through that particular light. So that is the Tyndall effect. So the turbid disturbance causes the light to scatter in multiple directions. So you can see that light gets concentrated or it scatters to a particular point, and this is known as Tyndall effect. So here you can get the example where you flash light through a solution and a mixture of water and milk. Here mixture of water and milk, you can see scattering of the light, but through a solution it passes through. So next example, light source, light beam. Through solution, the light source is not visible, especially water. Through colloid, it is visible that it passes through, the light can be observed, example milk. And suspension also, flour and water. If you have added flour to water, you can see the light visible there. So let us see some of the examples in our daily life of Tyndall effect. So you can see you have passed through forest and you have lot of trees where you can see rays of sun that is striking here, the figure. So water vapors in the air. So there are water vapor in the air. It acts as colloidal system and also it scatters the light. So early morning sun rays passing through a forest. If you are passing through a forest, the lights get scattered because the light scatters due to the presence of moisture present or tiny droplets present. These droplets will disperse the light and you can see the same Tyndall effect. The mixture of air and moisture is a colloid. So what is a colloid here? Mixture of air and moisture. So next example is the headlights on a car. So it's a foggy road and you are passing through a foggy road. Light passes through fog particles and the light gets scattered. So light gets scattered through a foggy road. It is also an example of Tyndall effect. Fog means moisture is present. So next example is human eye. So what it contains? Human eye contains melanin pigment. It absorbs the light. If the amount of melanin is less light is scattered. if more amount of melanin, more light gets scattered. So clear and translucent human eyes which appear blue, so bluish eye, when light falls on this, the wavelength passes through the eyes, after which blue light gets reflected back and hence the eyes appear blue. So you can see that it appears blue because of the translucent human eyes which appears blue due to the scattered light rays. So next example is your lighthouse. You might have seen lighthouse which is located on a hill. The strong light rays pass through the colloidal air. Colloidal air mixture with some amount of moisture in it. So you can see that same Tyndall effect, that scattering of light happens through. So these are all about the solutions and with respect to the solutions types and the effect that causes through the solution or passes through the solution, or the effect that is caused when a light passes through moisture and the air. That is the Tyndall effect. This completes this session of the video and it will be continued in the next video. Thank you for watching.